Welcome back to the program. So, hopefully, tomorrow night we get a lot of people to join us. We're going to have fun. We're going to have some drinks. We're going to cut loose. We're going to have a good time. But I want to talk about a lot of different things tonight. We're going to try to do three segments. And the first segment, we're going to talk about three quick things in the news. And then we're going to move on to the main topic. So, number one, Samantha Guthrie's mom. This is the CNN reporter or CBS, I don't know, one of the left wing news organizations. She's nothing spectacular. She's been around a while and things like that. Apparently, her mother, 84 years old, has been missing from Tucson area, Catalina foothills, by the way, which is like Muku Bucks, okay? Right on Mount Lemmon, beautiful area, beautiful scenery of the mountains. I mean, it's a wealthy, wealthy area. And so now the newest things is there's apparently a ransom note that has come out that said that they have her and that you have a certain amount of time to get the money to us, but we don't want cash. We just want Bitcoin only. And it was sent to local television stations in Tucson, and it was also sent to TMZ as well. Okay. The other thing I think that's just kind of strange about the whole thing is that nothing really ever happens in this really nice area. Okay. And so was this drug cartels? Was this because the daughters got money and so they took the mother because of that and they're trying to extort the daughter? I don't know. But what I will say is one thing that no one is brave enough to say in the media. Perhaps investigators should be looking at the daughter. That's all I'm going to say. Next, the Grammys. What a disaster. Are they ever going to learn? I mean, Ricky Gervais said, he put out a post and he said, "You're never going to learn, are you guys?" Nope, you're never going to learn. So obviously they didn't learn and we didn't watch, which is wonderful. Apparently this was the second lowest of this century for viewership, including the important 18 to 24 and then I think 25 to 40 or whatever that age range is. Absolutely went just torpedoed down. 20% less viewership than even the year before. So the only thing I think that was maybe as popular, maybe even more popular, was probably reruns of what is her name? Katie Couric's colonoscopy. Next one. The Rooney Rule. Does anybody even know what this is? Okay, if you're a fan of the NFL, National Football League, or the National Felons League, let's call it what it really is, apparently teams don't like to hire black coaches, except, of course, Mike Tomlin, if you know who that is. He's probably the greatest coach out there, besides maybe Bill Parcells and a few others, right? Vince Lombardi back in the day. But it's not about your skin color. It's about whether you have wins and losses. And Mike Tomlin was with the Steelers and stepped down just a month ago. 19 seasons or 18 seasons with a winning record. So anyway, throughout the last couple of years, because the NFL is woke garbage, they installed what's known as the Rooney Rule after the owner of, I believe, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And what this rule is you're not allowed to hire a white guy until you interview a black guy. Okay, fine. I get it. You want diversity. Okay, fair enough. But you know what's been happening? There was 10 coach openings, including the Arizona Cardinals. And guess what? Not one black coach was hired. Why? Well, because they're exploiting the Rooney Rule. So basically what they do is they bring in the black guys, and they interview the black guys and they go, okay, thank you, you're in the running. And then they go hire a white guy. So when you purposely try to diversify a position like head coach, it doesn't work. If you're qualified and you're black, more power to you. You should be hired. But we shouldn't have a rule that says we can't hire somebody until someone of color is interviewed first. Okay, that is woke bullshit. And so black coaches went 0-10. That's right, 0-10. Not one black head coach was hired, including the Cardinals. Next one. This one's crazy, but not really shocking. Jill Biden's ex-husband is now a murderer. That's right. He has been charged with murdering his wife. Apparently, she was found after a 911 dispute call unconscious in her living room on the couch with blood on her. They didn't say what happened. They didn't say if there was knife wounds or gunshot wounds or strangulation. We don't know. All we do know is that after less than a week, I think it was 4 days and a few hours, they had enough evidence to charge Jill Biden's ex-husband with the murder of his wife. So maybe he learned it from Joe. Maybe he learned it from the Biden crime family. Who knows? Anyway, let's move on. So what I want to talk about in this segment, as I blew through 3 minutes here, is this. So we've got to pass the SAVE Act, okay? It's not even a matter of a wish. We have to do it, okay? And I'll tell you the reasons why. There are 2 or 3 more special elections. And apparently Republicans don't care. And we can't motivate Republicans to care until it's too late. Because they're high on their own supply and they think that somehow they're going to just skate right through the midterms. Well, I'm telling you, it's going to be a fucking bloodbath, okay? 60, 70, 80 seat bloodbath. You understand what I'm saying? And losing the Senate at this rate, okay? And that was unthinkable 6 months ago. Unthinkable for them to win the Senate. Now, foregone conclusion at this rate. And here's what's worse. If those special elections go to the Democrats, guess what? That will be only the second time in history, I think 1972 was the first one, in which Republicans lost the gavel, in other words, control of the House, to Democrats before the midterms. That's right, you heard that correctly. We are literally in jeopardy of losing the House of Representatives control in the next 90 days if these special elections are not won by Republicans. So what are we going to do? We had 94,000 people out of what 2.8 million or something that were eligible to vote in the special election? 94,000? I couldn't believe it. I could not believe the numbers, okay? And it was a bloodbath. It was an absolute bloodbath. The Democrats smoked him 57 to 40%. It was sick. And this was, again, a state and a district that President Trump won by 17 fucking points a year ago. So what's it going to take? What's it going to take? Is it going to take losing the House of Representatives before the 2026 midterms? Is that what is needed to wake these dumb bastards up? Are they not putting any money into these races? Do they want to be in the minority? Do they want to piss off the MAGA base so much that the majority stay home? Is that where we're at? Maybe we ought to lose the House. Yeah, maybe we ought to lose the House in these special elections. And just maybe, a fire will be lit under the ass of the RNC. And maybe they'll start taking this serious, because these Democrats, they are serious about gaining power and they don't care what they have to do to get it. And people need to wake up and understand that. Now, the SAVE Act. I was doing some thinking on this, okay? But before I get to that, let's talk about it. So, Representative Luna, who I absolutely love, I think she's fantastic. She says that the Save America Act will be brought to the floor with a 60-vote roadblock, without a 60-vote roadblock, by using what's known as a standing filibuster, okay? Let me explain, and I'll read the article. Anna Paulina Luna revealed that the Senate leadership is moving towards nuking the so-called zombie filibuster and restoring an old-school standing filibuster to advance the Save America Act, legislation that requires proof of U.S. citizenship to vote. According to Luna, John Thune signaled after a meeting with Donald Trump that the Senate is prepared to bring the SAVE Act to the floor without the modern abuse-ridden 60-vote threshold. Under a standing filibuster, senators who want to delay a bill must actually stand, speak, and debate. Kind of like Bathhouse Cory Booker when he stood up there for like 18 hours and talked about whatever bullshit he was talking about for the one big beautiful bill. That kind of thing. Once that debate ends, you only need 50 votes to pass it, with, of course, 51 being J.D. Vance. That's how the filibuster was supposed to work. But Washington elites turned it into a zombie rule that lets senators kill bills without even showing up. So Luna says, based on our discussion right now, we are moving forward towards this. Also, we have assurances that the standing filibuster, which is highly important, will be used. I don't know if you guys remember when we were talking about inherent content, a lot of people don't know what that is, she goes on to say. The standing filibuster is an old school parliamentary procedure, but it's a way to break through what we consider traditional norms to get voter ID passed. I think it's brilliant that they came up with this, and that's exactly why we've had these discussions and are very happy with the outcome. There should be a standing filibuster announced very soon, and I would actually reach out to Senator Thune's office to ask him about that because they may have different goals. Now, Thune has said that at this point he doesn't think that he has the votes. Chuck Schumer said that it's dead on arrival. So in other words, if you bring it up, we're not going to do it and we're going to keep the government closed, which of course it now reopened. But remember, ICE and DHS funding runs out on the 13th. Okay. So I started to think, and it's controversial, and that's what I'm known for, coming up with controversial things. What if we proposed that you pass the SAVE Act right now, and in lieu of you passing the SAVE Act now, which, by the way, 87% of Americans want voter ID to vote. So this is not some right-wing conspiracy crazy thought process, okay? It is the majority, overall majority of the American electorate. In order to get it passed, what if we said, you pass the SAVE Act right now so that we have mandatory voter ID and citizenship checks before voting, and we will defund ICE and DHS. Now, I know what you're thinking, Josh, that's going to fuck everything up. I mean, ICE has got to do their job. We've got these illegal aliens all over the place. I get it. Here's the thing. There are more than one way to get funding for DHS and ICE. Okay? Number one, you can use the Army Corps of Engineers. Gee, how did President Trump end up building part of the border wall? Oh, that's right. He took money from the Army Corps of Engineers. So that is a possibility, and no, Congress can't stop that. Next, he could do a rescission act, a budget rescission act, which basically means that we have found fraud, we have found waste and abuse, and we are cutting this waste and abuse, $9 billion, whatever it is, right? You vote on it, get it through Congress, use the money, and boom, give it to DHS and give it to ICE. The other thing you could do, well, it's even more controversial, is you might even be able to use the Pentagon and the Department of War and their budget. Because technically, this is national security, DHS, is it not? Of course it is. So what I'm saying is we could play their game because let's face it, and I'll say it right now, and I don't care who hears it. The SAVE Act is more important than funding DHS by far, because with the SAVE Act, they're not going to be able to cheat in elections, okay? And that's exactly what they're going to do. So we pass the SAVE Act, we cut DHS funding, wink, wink, and then once the SAVE Act is passed and into law, we then go and find other ways to fund DHS and ICE. Mic drop. So that's what I think ought to happen for the foreseeable future because they're not going to get it. They're not going to get the SAVE Act, at least I don't think. President Trump could scream, he could grab John Thune by his nutsack and say, you pass this fucking thing now or you're dead. And I don't know if it's still going to pass, okay? And we can't have another prolonged, really long close of the shutdown in the government because we're just now starting to kind of creep back and get a little bit back into the economy. And we don't want that to be stalled again. So thinking outside the box, as I always do, that's what I've come up with. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.